Welcome back, you two. This is the summary for Land of the Hunter. You did it! You finished the campaign! Well, I mean, one of you finished almost all 4 years of it. The other, finished for the other person. There we go.
There you go.
Adrian, Thea / Del. Well done. Good job. You took every challenge I threw at you and you chewed it up and spit it back out. Although there were a few times when it looked like that wasn't going to be the case. Alright. So like I said, this is going to be more of a discussion about the characters, the character classes, their mechanics, and the performance across all 20 levels for the last almost 4 years. So Thea / Del, I'm going to start with you with some questions. Prior to this game, have you ever played Dungeons & Dragons before?
Only minimally. Probably a half dozen times, give or take. And I mean actual, like, half dozen game sessions, not campaigns.
Gotcha. What classes did you play? If you remember.
I remember there was a ranger.
Okay.
I believe something paladin, cleric, something like that. A warlock once or twice. That's about it.
But you've not played a rogue before. Adrian, since you seem to have fallen over, I was about to ask you a question, but instead I'm going to ask, are you okay?
A couple boxes and stuff ended up falling over by accident, and I hit it with my knee.
I told you not to stack that close to your knee.
Yeah. Trying to rearrange a few things in this room. And so...
Valid.
I'm no longer in the living room. I'm down in the, my pirate room. Or the bedroom.
You've been consigned to the dungeon. Noted.
To the barracks.
Fair enough. Adrian, prior to this game, Land of the Hunter, have you ever played Dungeons & Dragons before?
Yeah. Long time ago. Still had no idea what type of character I was playing. But, yeah, we never even finished the campaign because we only played like 2 game sessions and then everybody else couldn't make it. So we basically just quit.
Fell apart.
Yeah, so this was the only game that I've ever played in which we actually completed a campaign.
Well, I mean, that did kind of answer my second question that I was going to ask you, so I'll ask it of Thea / Del instead. Have you ever played before up to level 20?
Never even actually played a campaign before.
Fair enough. Okay, so Thea / Del, this is going to be a very difficult question for you to answer because you didn't actually create Thea, or Del for that matter. You kind of jumped in mid-late game and took over for both characters, and frankly, from my point of view, you did a swimmingly good job.
That's generous.
And I say that because both characters survived all the way through to level 20 and end of campaign.
Yay!
Sorry, what was that comment?
Well, that's generous.
I mean, you survived. Now, so I know you didn't choose the feats that were applied to Thea. The original creator of Thea chose those feats, and you, to honor that choice and the character, you completed that build design. So I understand this question is going to be a little odd for you to answer. Since you've now played all the way up to level 20, what are your feelings on your character's class? Not the character, the class, the rogue, the strengths, the weaknesses, the features of the rogue the rogue thief.
The class I actually liked more than I thought I would. I generally actually had a moderate to low opinion of the rogue, and while I'm not expecting it to be the best or highest damage dealer, it's just fun hitting people and getting like 45, 50 points of damage on one hit. Like, you know what? Reality can go out the window on who's actually doing the most of the damage. It just feels good.
That's fair. I think that's the rogue strength, then, I guess you would say.
That's just the fun part. That's just the happy-go-lucky, it just feels good part. But rogue strength, I mean, it's just that combination, and it's going to be a little dependent on your campaign and your environment, your capacity to hide, to basically operate on the periphery of the fight, and strike with impunity as far as choosing your target and hitting it hard. The rogues, I think its pinnacle, is when it's not trying to be the main element, it's not trying to be the core of the group. It stands out on the periphery and just takes the opportune moment to shoot people in the back, really.
I would give you a point of inspiration for referencing good Captain Jack Sparrow, but we're not doing that. So what you're basically saying, the rogue excels at being on the sidelines as opposed to a frontliner.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Don't be the star. Don't be the hero.
Gotcha.
Just play on the outskirts and take pop shots at people that strike like an anvil in the face.
Valid. What would you say are the rogue and or the rogue thief's weaknesses?
Getting caught. Operating on an even playing field where everyone knows where everyone is, not a good day for the rogue.
That would definitely be the rogue's moment of, I am going to die.
I mean, you're still gonna run, you're gonna make them chase you, but it's still like, okay, as soon as everyone gets an even fair playing field and everyone knows where everyone is, it's less fun.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the features of the rogue class, and especially the thief, since that's the subclass that you played?
I mean, obviously, given what I was saying, you have capacity to just sneak and hide and maximize on your shots. Your ability to identify targets without being identified is huge. I would have liked to, make more exercise of its skills, or I mean, not skills, but it's like its tool skills, bringing and entering, sneaking into places, disarming traps and whatnot. This just wasn't the type of campaign that really plays into that heavily. No criticisms, you can't cover everything.
Did my best.
This is not a criticism. This is just you can't have every major campaign theme be a major element all at once. You can't cover everything. This was much more of a hunting, roaming, combat campaign as compared to sneak into someone's bedchambers, steal their paperwork, and sneak back out. This just wasn't that kind of campaign.
Right.
So, it's a little bit of a bummer. I think there's probably some elements of the rogue there that didn't really get to be fully exercised. But, that's just the nature of it. You can't run a campaign that covers everything. Or if you do, it's probably going to be very, very confusing. So for this campaign, it was a big element of distance. The rogue hits another major snag when there's things like wind to intervene with its archery. There was a lot of help there with things like Augmenter, and maybe not an ideal feat for the rogue, but dual wielder did help some there. Being able to pull out a sword and dagger combo to boost the armor and get in close. I'm not sure that's the strongest option of a feat to work with a rogue in melee, but it does help some.
I do know there were quite a few moments, forgive me for interrupting for just for a second, I do know that there were a few moments here and there where the +1 to your armor class literally made the difference between being hit or not hit.
Yeah.
But those moments were kind of few and far between. Please continue.
Yeah, so just throwing it into the chat there, the basic elements of dual wielder. Oops. There we go. +1 to AC when you got the 2 melee weapons. Faster drawing for the 2 weapons. Just the one action or interaction to draw both. And the better availability as far as being able to use more weapons in your 2-weapon fighting. That +1 to AC, it does help some. It's definitely not something to be rejected when it's offered. I can't think off the top of my head what I would replace that with. Maybe something like Charger or something that boosts mobility might have been a better option. But I would say it's a good element for the rogue when it needs to get into melee. Maybe not the best, but still a good element.
How do you, if I may interrupt one more time, and I apologize, how do you think the rogue did going between melee and ranged combat? Like ranged combat, if you allow me to expand on that question, ranged combat is fairly easy. You shoot, you duck, and you bonus action hide. How does the rogue handle melee combat? Is it more difficult?
It's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more limiting. It's mostly just more dangerous, and it can get a little boring and repetitive at times. But quite frankly, at least my major comfort zone with the rogue was don't play fair, don't play nice. I always want to be unseen, unheard, and just take my pop shots for free. So getting into melee is it's the fallback option when the bow isn't working ideally. It's melee is never the thing I want to get into as a first choice. It's just, what you do when the first choice isn't working.
Sure. I appreciate that. I'm going to give you a chance to lubricate your throat with some delicious water. Adrian, since you have now played an entire campaign in an actually identified class that you can recall, what are your feelings on your character's class, the fighter, both its strengths, its weaknesses, and its features? So overall, and strengths, and then weaknesses, and then features.
Well, I do have to say, at first, we were kind of not even going down the fighter range. We were actually almost going to be basing our characters off of the Rangers, but I ended up going that way because I just decided, you know what, I don't think I was really good with the bow at first, so I just started going melee combat into there, and we ended up choosing the fighter after a couple of fight battles that we had. I would definitely have to say that his strengths were probably more along the lines of the like some of the elemental features with some of his weapons that he had. Probably like Firebolt would probably be his go-to weapon of choice. I know that's a cantrip and all there, but I feel like that would probably be his strong point. I do remember one campaign that we had where we were dealing with like a rainstorm or something out in the grasslands, and there was this one hobgoblin or one of these other creatures that were attacking us with lightning strikes, and it was just getting so I was getting frustrated. I know Adrian was getting frustrated with it, and I figured, okay, I'm just going to thrust all of my anger towards this one dude, and he's going to get it, whether it's going to be a miss or a hit. I'm just going to do it. And I ended up rolling. I don't think it was a critical hit, but it was a very, very high roll, and that one firebolt shot destroyed him entirely. And I would probably have to say that, yes, Fireball, or I'm not Fireball, but Firebolt was his strength, and anything fire related was his strengths. His weaknesses, however, probably would have been the bow or his overconfidence. Like, I don't know what it was, but there were some rolls where I would end up getting like 3 nat ones in a row, and it would just be like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I need to go back to my firebolt action or my, my fire weapon, and I just feel like, it was probably just kind of like going in half-cocked. That was more like his weakness. Just half-cocked, or just being completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Arrogant. Really arrogant in his role and playing and strategy and all that, and not really stepping back and taking the front look. He was always like gung-ho and thinking he was like the human shield, which his actual shield gave him an advantage in so many battles and fights and confrontations. And yes, you had made mention too several times, like, aren't you glad I ended up giving you such a powerful shield?
I mean, you said you wanted a really good armor class, so I was like, well, what can I do to make that a possibility? Oh, hey!
I did ask for that, and oh man, sometimes I even wondered, should I have gone like dual wielding or something, I mean, it seems like there's a bunch of bonuses and pretty good benefits from there, but no, I felt a little too eager to have a really good suit of armor, a nice shield, and then even having the spell shield come in handy. That would always give me the extra boost, just in case if it was just slightly over my armor class defense. Overall, the character, the fighter, I loved his character. Now, at first, I didn't necessarily like him. I thought for sure I may have been a little too quick to choose this character. May have been like, yeah, maybe I made a bad choice or something, thinking that this wasn't a good character to be. I mean, I do remember one such battle where I had like 7 or 8 guys all around me, and they were all taking shots, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is hurting me. I don't think I can do this. I don't know. And I just got frustrated with the character. But then I also remembered too that I had 8 or 10 heart sand poultices on my character, so I could have used that to heal. And then that's when I realized I need to actually start using my things. So, I mean, how long did I have? Gosh, I can't remember the name of it now, but I had held on to things for over a year or so that you gave me in the way of inventory, and I said, you know what? I'm actually going to use this. And you say, after 2 years of holding on to this, you're finally using it?
That's definitely a point that I, as a DM, I was just like, I gave you all this stuff. Why won't you use it?
And I guess I was, not to quote Jack Sparrow, but I was waiting for the opportune moment to use said items. But all those situations and encounters, it's like, I could have used this at that point. I could have used this over there. And finally, I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to start using my inventory. And yeah.
I mean, it is there, like your tools, your weapons, your gear. Pardon me for interrupting. Continue.
But I guess one of my other major flaws is once I use it, it's gone. And I can never get it back. So now you kind of feel a little bit of my pain and my blunder with the whole I don't want to use it. I'm waiting for the right moment to use it. But then again, playing this character and playing this game has gotten me to realize you're always going to be using something in your journey, but then you're always going to find something else out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, use it for when you really need it. because you never know what you're going to get the next corner or the next fight or battle that you get involved in. Who knows? Somebody could drop something really cool, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I used this other thing so that I could get this.
That is an excellent point and an excellent lesson I wish I'd learned as well. That is an excellent point.
Although I do have to
You
say,
did eventually start getting there.
I do have to say though that the last battle and dealing with that one hobgoblin that was such a he was a match. He was such a match. I almost thought about throwing a couple of smoke bombs and just saying, now do this. You know?
I mean, he was more or less designed as a counter to your style.
Felt like
you.
playing Shadow Link or something, you know? So
Just a little.
Yeah.
Thea, what are your feelings on the other classes, the fighter and the ranger? Their kind of their overall performance, their strengths, their weaknesses, their features. What are your thoughts?
Quick caveat. One thing I wanted to try and catch earlier when we were talking about the feats. When it comes to the melee for the rogue, I think some other options that might have been a nice idea for the rogue would be combinations of either mobile and or the charger feat to kind of either emphasize on the capacity to deal damage when charging in to hit someone, or to hit someone or just melee attack someone and run away without spending extra bonus action to disengage. But for thoughts on other classes, the ranger is shockingly good at just dealing high amounts of damage when it gets to 20th level, when it's adding on, I forget what exactly it's called, but that +5 it can add to either attack or damage roll, as well as
The foe slayer.
yes, thank you, as well as the
Sure.
What's it called, the extra D8 that it adds on to one attack per round.
Colossus Slayer.
Thank you, Colossus Slayer. And various elements like that. Like, it did some, maybe once a round or so, it would just lay on a surprising amount of damage from one attack. But also really, just in general, is very good at crowd control. With its volley and its, I think it was Fifth Quiver and whatnot, and Fog Cloud, and Spike Growth. Surprisingly good capacity to just kind of manage a crowd. The fighter, hard to know just how much of it was his specialized kind of, I think of his particularly magic material, but he had a very specialized custom armor that made him very durable, and a great option to just really just go toe-to-toe with people and present a problem directly in their face that they couldn't really go around or go straight through, I mean.
If I may interrupt for a brief second, I basically took mithril armor and put it together with plate armor and said, here's plate armor, which is technically heavy, but because it's mithril, now it's light enough for an elf who's not strength focused to wear.
Oh, I thought that was,
So I homebrewed two items together.
I thought that was something that gave it like a...
What was that, Adrian? Oh yes, I also made it a plus something or other. I think it was a +2 or 3, I forget now.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it was like a +3 or 5, but either way, it was boosted in its actual armor rating.
I think
Yes, and then I also gave the plus... Sorry?
I was gonna say, I think my actual armor was like a +5 or something. That was like as high as you could.
Yeah, and then you have...
get.
Well, so you had the plus... I think it was +2 plate armor. That was also mithril, and also the... Excuse me. The +3 plate armor with mithril, plus the +2 shield.
Yeah.
And that gave you a total armor class of 25.
Yeah.
Made you very hard to hit.
Yeah, so he had a great capacity to just stand right in the thick of it and get in people's way. Pretty good, pretty decent amount of versatility with its capacity to either go melee or ranged, and or to unleash fireball on crowds. the fireball I don't think hit quite as high a mark as something like spike growth, but it comes with its own advantages as far as not as dependent on the enemies walking straight into it, for one thing. He can just choose a point and just put it where he wants it.
Yeah.
And just a great versatility to do a little bit of everything. Lots of melee attacks.
And especially all in one round.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Lots of melee attacks, or ranged attacks, or magic attack. Just, an extensive amount of versatility out of the fighter to choose the way in which to fight and do almost any option it wanted. Maybe not always the strongest, but very flexible.
That's fair.
I just looked up my armor class, and it was actually armor plating +3 with my shield of +2, which actually gave me the fighting edge.
Well, Adrian, since you stepped in, I'm going to ask you now. What are your feelings, your thoughts on the other classes? For you, this would be the Rogue and the Ranger. Their overall mechanics, their strengths, weaknesses, features. Take it away.
The Rogue? Definitely a really good choice. I would love to have been the Rogue. I mean, first of all, the fact that they picked certain features to make the Rogue better, make the Rogue a more deadly adversary. I mean, the fact that you can do so much and still maintain your stealth, that was definitely a bonus benefit to the Rogue character, for sure. I mean, also, too, the amount of combinations that you would end up putting together in just a single shot, I still cannot believe that Thea was able to shoot an arrow and do 150 damage to a certain character out there, and I thought, wow, my goodness. I don't know how. I don't know how the aspect. I don't know how you added all that stuff up, and then the roll that you ended up hitting. But wow, just wow, beautiful, wonderful. That was like the best thing I've ever seen in a campaign game.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a combination of like a sharpshooter and critical hit.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, that was like a powerful shot. That was like, take that, Hawkeye,
Pardon.
So,
Dying.
but the Ranger, first off, the fact that I even had you as a Ranger, Baron, was great, because yes, you did have that Colossus Slayer that the only time you could actually use that is if any of the opponents on the field were wounded. That gave you that edge, which was a lifesaver. I mean, that really helped us out a lot. Especially in the very beginning, because all I needed to do was scratch one, then turn around, then go towards another opponent, and then you would be, oh gee, thank you, now he's wounded, Colossus Slayer, and here's the shot. But yeah, spike growth, the ability to catch a weapon and then turn around and throw it right back at him, volley, some of those other ones, wow, just what a combination. But I mean, you were able to take just like, I don't know, you were able to take like the basic things and turn it around and make it a complex shot to the point where it was a very deadly shot. But then your multiple use of like, oh, I can do volley over here, I can do volley over here, and bam, 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 all critical hits to the point where everybody's dead, and then leaving one just barely alive, just enough for me to come up and go, slice, oh, you're dead. Just, I mean, great combinations there. I mean, like you said, with the Ranger, you can go as big as you want to, you can go as far as you want to, you can go as little as you want to, and I still think a Ranger is a great character to have in a game setting like that.
Awesome. What do you think the weaknesses of the other two character classes are?
Well, not to like just not to copy your guys's failures, but yeah, for Thea, it was basically if she got caught or found out, yeah, sorry, but it was a no. She's either hiding or no, she's not. And once she was exposed, then everybody basically just said, "Oh, okay, you're the one that's taking all of us out, so we want to take you out now." But then again, I really hated the fact that Thea had that undead that would just pop out of nowhere and then just start attacking her. And it's like, no matter how many times we killed this thing, it would just come back.
The Revenant.
Yes, the Revenant. But Baron's
weaknesses for the Ranger?
Weaknesses for the Ranger. Oh, as soon as you run out of arrows. Yeah. No more volley. No more, Oh, well, I guess you could still use, like, Colossus Slayer or something with weapons, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, Colossus Slayer works as long as the target is wounded. It doesn't matter if you hit with fists, that would be unarmed strikes,
yeah.
Or a blowgun, sling, it doesn't matter. You hit a wounded creature, they take the extra D8.
But yeah, as soon as you would lose arrows, you're kind of like just scrapping for whatever you have left to take them all out. But then again, with you, I think one of your biggest weaknesses is you didn't have that thick of armor. You didn't have that, like a shield or something to protect you and to give you that extra protection, because you got wounded quite a lot.
Oh yeah,
but
a lot.
Yeah, that was also another reason for having the healer around, because he would always be there to say, okay, so I've got some wounded, I need to start healing some. But yeah, I would say that was probably your guys' weaknesses.
Fair. Before I go into the stats for each character, each martial character, for this campaign, which class do you two think is more powerful in terms of delivering combat damage between the fighter, the ranger, or the rogue? Like, which do you think is the most deadly martial character class?
Are we talking just straight up just mass number, or?
Yeah, just based on the mechanics alone. It's not about, this is not including strategy or tactics or player styles or role play. We're talking just straight numbers and mechanics. And also strictly about the fighter, the ranger, and the rogue. Thea, go for it.
I don't know if I can answer that question without like kind of cheating some, because I've always it kind of talked some of the numbers with you off screen already.
Gotcha.
So can I answer that 1 second?
Or you can just go ahead and defer if you don't want to answer. Are you there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just basing off of the three characters, the fighter, the ranger, the rogue, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, because the fighter, going mostly with his melee combat and his melee weapons, I would say that he was a pretty decent fighter. But then the rogue, who I think did much better with the bow than the actual sword fighting, would definitely one up on the fighter. But then I look at the ranger, who did both fighting and archery. So I almost want to say, oh gosh, it's kind of like a hard choice to make. But I definitely know that the ranger probably made it on top for sure. and then I would probably say rogue, then fighter. That's just an honest guess.
Fair enough. All right. Thea, I presume then that you are deferring.
I'm gonna say in short, kind of ranger, fighter, rogue. Again, I'm not 100% certain, but I know I kind of have like some backstage info on that one.
Okay.
And I think one of the big tricks to me is always going to be looking at something like spike growth. It's kind of one of those ones that often does just a massive amount of damage, but I always feel it tends to kind of come up somewhat dependent on the type of campaign that the range is operating in.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you both so much. I'm kicking you out eternally. No, I'm just kidding. All right. When I first started building this campaign, and I mean like building the lore, the world, the maps, the continent maps, not the individual battle maps, because those were built almost week to week. I had 3 questions based off of claims various people have made both in online forums and on YouTube videos. These are the questions I wanted to test. I had, just based off of my own math skills and my own personal analysis, I had my own preconceptions about what the answers would be, but that's just guesswork. I wanted to test. So, question 1. I'm going to copy and paste it into the chat.
Alright.
Does the ranger need Hunter's Mark in order to be comparable to other marshals? I have heard this in some analysis videos of the ranger class, where basically the consensus seems to be that the ranger has to take and use Hunter's Mark on a regular basis just to keep up with the other marshals. Okay, so that was the foundation for question 1. It's just, is Hunter's Mark quintessential in order to be comparable? Question 2, copy paste. Is the fighter as a class better than rangers as a class at archery? So this question is less about the subclass and more about just the basic class, the fighter versus ranger, who's better at archery, because they both have access to archery fighting style. The fighter has it at level 1. The ranger gets it at level 2. And finally, especially in tiers 3 and 4. Tier 3 is levels, if I remember correctly, 11 through 16. And tier 4 is 17 through 20. If you may recall, that is just when the party got shifted over to the desert. Just as a for those of you keeping up at home. So especially in tiers 3 and 4, do rangers need spellcasting just in order to keep up with damage output from the other marshals? Okay, so those are the 3 questions. Oh, excuse me. That kind of guided the whole stress test experiment that this campaign was. So we'll try to keep this in mind, these questions in mind, as we go forward to discuss the performances of the characters. Now, as a reminder, this is a discussion of the numbers only, not the strategies or the tactics or any other hypothetical uses. So let's move you not to the battle map. Sorry?
Well, I think I already kind of messed up. Conflated those a little bit earlier.
Just a little.
Blah, 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 blah.
We're going to start with Thea, and I suggest for this that you come out to a zoom of around 50. Maybe a little bit more on my screen. There we go. So I'm at zoom level 40, and I shrank my toolbar, I shrank the chat, I maximized my screen potential. We're going to start with Thea, the rogue, because of the 3 classes that we're evaluating, the rogue is the only class that I didn't build. Someone else built Thea. And Thea also ended up being run by someone else other than the original creator. Although, as mentioned before, the second player did stay with the original feat picks of the character's creator. So, on screen right now, at the top of the map, you'll see a chart. This is a line chart, and it is depicting damage per hit. No features, no abilities, no magic. This is weapon damage only. The blue line is the baseline. So this up here, this is the baseline. This is based off of, let's say, the Warlock using Eldritch Blast across all 20 levels. Okay?
Okay.
And the orange line is the Rogue's performance across all 20 levels, weapon damage only. This is not including sneak attack or anything else. And you may see right around 5th level, dipped below the average, and at 8th level, stayed below the average. But if you scroll down, this is the average per hit with everything added in. And the Rogue didn't dip below the average line even once. At all. Like, straight from level 1, just up and up and up. With some weird variances. And I think that's primarily because of a couple different things. One, especially as you get to higher levels, the number of fight encounters required to move up in experience from one level to the next changes. So like one level it might be 5 fights, another level it might be 6 fights or 7 fights, and so that'll mess with the average a little bit. Okay? And further, it's mostly just the fact of a lot of the sneak attack damage is a bunch of rolled dice, and that, as you can see, that causes a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down. Overall, massive outgrowth. It is phenomenal, the average that Theo is getting. So that's your average per hit. Excuse me. Now, if you'll scroll back up to the top, what you see now is total damage rolled by level. No features, no abilities, no magic. This is strict weapon damage. Which at first level, 20 points. Second level, 42. Third level, 199. A bit of a jump. Fourth level, 120. Fifth level, 145. Sixth level, 127. Seventh level and eighth level. That's when we were starting to have those night encounters with the hobgoblin, like huge groups. And 8th level is when we had those, that big challenge where we had to chase down 3 different hunting parties of hobgoblins. Do you remember that, Adrian?
Vaguely.
Okay. And Thea, you weren't there at this point in the campaign. So 7th through 10th, all above 400. And remember, this is weapon damage only. No sneak attack. Then a dip at 11th. Back up a little at 12th, real big dip at 13th, and then just high, all the way up to 20th level, which got to 864 on weapon damage only. So there you go. So now you scroll down and see what happens when you add everything in. And let's see here, I want to look at 7th level, got over 1,400. 9th level, 1,500, same at 10th, and at 14th, or 1,500 again, at 16th level, broke the 2,008 point ceiling for damage. And then finally at level 19 and 20, this is when sneak attack dice completely filled, like no more sneak attack dice to be added. At 19th level, broke 3,500. I gotta zoom in. At level 19, broke 3,560 points, and level 20, 4,713. Good job.
Yay!
It happened around like levels 17 and 19 to where that kind of seemed to dip.
That was when you stole the
Um,
book.
Sorry, what?
I think that was before. Wait, no, that was during this Thea's time, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear
Okay.
Agent's statement earlier. What did you
I
say,
said
Agent?
that was when you stole the book.
Oh.
That was a joke.
So around those levels, if I recall correctly, we were still in the desert. And I think we were having a few more extraplanar events, like for example, trying to deal with the three-eyed apes down under the ground, trying to reclaim Dell, starting to make our way south with the Crusovians. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. Now, what you see up here now is everything added in. This is all of Thea's damage per level. I did not include the numbers on this just because it got way too cluttered and you couldn't understand any of it. Sorry. But now you see that there are colored segments indicating the source of damage for each level. Okay? Adrian, did you have a question?
Nope. I was saying none taken. I don't take any offense to this.
Fair enough. The blue bar is weapon damage. The orange bar is sneak attack. And then over on the right, there's a color code, a legend of every other source. Gray is sharpshooter, yellow is thieves reflexes, which weapon damage only. Light blue is thieves reflexes, sneak attack. What are you doing? Someone reading a book or something?
Nope.
Thea?
I was earlier, but I stopped just right before you asked the question, and then the sound came up.
There was a lot of page rustling all of a sudden. I was like, what is that?
Well, I was wiping some dust off of my screen, so it could have been that.
Maybe. Green is magic item damage. Dark blue is magic damage. I think that's Auburn item damage. And then finally, at level 20, stroke of luck. Weapon and then sneak attack damage. So if you notice, ever since level 7, the predominant source of damage for the rogue is quite literally sneak attack. Everything else is basically incidental.
Yeah, weapons still plays a notable part, but yeah.
Well, yes, but again, the predominant, especially look at level 20. I mean, that is huge, that orange bar.
Yeah. I'd like to know what happened right around
and that's
11 and 13 as well.
11 and 13, I think.
I can't remember if I was
we were
even playing
newbie in the desert. You weren't, because we were dealing a lot with the desert, and at one point, Thea, the character, had a concussion. I think because she got caught in a flood in the desert. A flash flood, that is.
Wasn't that also during the time where I had to very consistently wash my hands in the morning?
Yes. There was some elements of insanity happening, dehydration, diseases, a lot of different things happening. Excuse me. Alright. Now we're going to be going level by level, looking at the sources of damage percentage-wise. This will be fun. So level 1, it's basically all weapon. I think at this point, Thea's total damage was 21 for the level. Of that, weapon damage was 20, and sneak attack was 1. So there's that. Level 2. Sneak attack takes up a bigger proportion. Valid, she got more attacks, landed more hits. Level 3, sneak attack and weapon damage are basically the same. A little bit percentage off. Level 4, a little bit of sharpshooter, a lot more sneak attack, a lot more weapon. Then you have level 5 where the weapon damage is still more, and sneak attack and sharpshooter are basically equal. Not quite, but close. Here's level 6, where sneak attack is starting to ramp up a little bit more. I think at this time Thea was using, not you Thea, the original Thea, was using predominantly, was using sharpshooter, but was noticing that they were hitting less often because of it. I could be wrong. And here's level 7, when sneak attack kind of jumped, as you may notice.
I'm gonna guess sharpshooter wasn't utilized as much.
It's there, 1%.
A very small 1%.
There, it's right there. It's that tiny little slice. And this. I think I mentioned to you before, Thea. A sharpshooter to me is kind of a waste. It's not a bad choice for the rogue, but it's kind of a waste because that -5 to hit really does hurt if you're looking purely on a stat and mathematical perspective. Even advantage has a hard time overcoming that -5, is what I've learned. And that's reflected here on level 8 because sharpshooter was used 0%. And look at that sneak attack damage, 66% of total. Again at level 9.
One thing.
Level 10. Yeah, go ahead.
So one thing I was thinking about earlier, because this is one that I also really tend to just not even think much about. But and I expect it kind of is invisible a lot throughout most of the gameplay. But I think it probably plays a large part though is A, the sneak attack's capacity to basically circumvent cover or partial cover.
Do you mean sharpshooter's ability to circumvent
Sorry,
cover?
I used the wrong word.
Okay.
But also,
no worries.
its
Continue.
capacity to extend the shooter's range. Because not having to worry about long range effect is nice. Like, the fact that I can basically just ignore that.
So, overall, I do agree with you, okay? The reason I say from purely mathematical perspective is because I'm looking at the damage, right? The numbers rolled, the percentages. I agree with you from a gameplay perspective that the ability to remove disadvantage from long-range attack, as well as ignore cover, those are both huge, and I would agree on those points that is great for a rogue to take sharpshooter. Keep in mind, not all rogues get to use the longbow. The only reason that Thea got to is because she's a wood elf, and wood elves get proficiency in longbows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
rogues don't automatically gain.
I'm thinking if I was using a short bow, like I'm gonna try and look at the ranges real quick here.
It's dramatically less than longbow.
Yeah, but that's not like I'm pretty sure that capacity to avoid facility. A short bow's range is 80 feet normal, 320 for long range, where it's going to be at disadvantage. And anything creating disadvantage for a rogue, big fat freaking problem because that interferes with my sneak attack.
Agreed.
Longbow, 150 foot for normal, 600 for long range. Not quite as dramatic, and in some ways, actually, if you're stuck to a short bow, I'm thinking sharpshooter becomes even more important.
It's possible. Again, I'm more talking from the strictly numerical point of view, right?
Yeah. But,
where we're just looking at the number results. Again, from a gameplay perspective, I agree.
Well, that's what I'm just trying to say, because I think a lot of, maybe not a lot, but a good portion of this sneak attack effect, where it's creating such a huge percentage, is going to be dependent on those things like that capacity to ignore disadvantage when attacking at long range.
Well, sure, but again, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm saying the and I should have been more clear about this earlier. I should have been saying that the third feature of the sharpshooter feat, the -5 for the +10, it is often in Dungeons and Dragons. It is often more important to hit than to get higher damage.
Yeah, and that can make sense.
Okay, so we'll go, and now also keep in mind, level 10, at the end of level 10, we got sent to the desert. And at that point, narratively, we got forced into using bows less frequently. Remember that, Adrian?
Oh yeah, not a whole lot of trees there for us to make arrows out of.
I don't think I was
Right.
playing at that point. Did that affect Thea very much?
You were not.
There were plenty of
Sort
rocks
of.
though.
There were plenty of rocks. So with Thea, and this might have played into how dramatically lower her damage totals were at certain levels. So Thea was able to use bows fairly well. Excuse me. I mean, she just didn't run out of arrows as quickly as, say, for example, Varen did, with his several shots per round kind of thing. However, as things went on, she started using bows less and less because, well, she just couldn't keep recovering the arrows. Eventually, I did add in magical quivers that automatically reloaded at the end of every day. Sorry, at the start of every day. But again, the rogue's able to use that resource a little bit more, let's say, economically, because 1 shot per round is a lot less expensive than 10 shots per round.
Yeah.
But I think at some point she started relying more on melee weapons as a result, and at the time, up until shortly before you joined us, she had the short sword of warning.
Yeah.
And then that got destroyed by a wish to a genie, and then Thea was right around the time you joined in, was granted the Augmentor Rapier for a new magic weapon.
And
So this is level 11. Sorry.
And to some element there, like if you're kind of getting locked into using melee weapons there, that's where that dual wielder element feat is gonna be looking more relevant to boost your rogue's armor class.
Exactly. Especially if you can't just easily hide. So here's level 11. So I think since around 8 or 9, sneak attack has been in the 60% of damage total. And that's gone all the way through level 11. Excuse me. Here's level 12, where sharpshooter started being used a little bit more, 6%. Weapon damage is now 30, and sneak attack is still 64. And move you. Alright, here's level 13. Sneak attack is still the big contributor. Sharpshooter's coming in a little bit more strongly, and up there is magic item damage. I think this is about the point where Thea started leaning more heavily into using things like beads of force. That would be the magic items.
Those are fun.
I know you liked those. And weapon damage dropped a little bit. Alright, now let's move that. Level 14, sneak attack jumps back up into the 60% again. Sharpshooter's at 11%. Item damage is... I'm trying to remember. I think I was throwing in a few other things, like, for example, like caltrops, basically. Things of that nature, where they're items that aren't technically weapons, but they aren't magic items either. And of course, there's also magic items like spell scrolls, beads of force, etc. So, sharpshooter 11, item damage 1%, magic item 1%, and weapon damage 25. I think this is about the point where you were taking over Thea. I could be wrong.
Should be somewhere around here. I don't remember when I took over, but yeah, it should be somewhere around this point.
Sneak attack drops a little bit at level 15 into the 56%. Sharpshooter 14. Magic item 1%, magic damage 3%. I think that's actually where you start getting. Let's see. I think some charms, I think, is what was coming into play that gave you certain spells, basically. And weapon damage 26%. Weapon damage drops again at level 16, now at 18%. Sneak attack still in the 50%. Sharpshooter 8. Magic item 2%. Magic damage 19. I think this is when Del cast Polymorph and made Thea into a Tyrannosaurus.
That could be that. I was also thinking spell scrolls. I think there's a little area I started using some scrolls a little bit more for like smites.
That's fair. I wondered if I would hear that tonight.
I was saving it for a special occasion.
Valid. Alright, and now at level 17, sneak attack jumps back up again, back into the 60%. This is common with basically what everyone says of the rogue. It's all about sneak attack. Everything for the rogue is all about sneak attack.
Yeah.
And weapon damage is still 24%, sharpshooter is 6%, thieves reflex is finally coming online. 1% from weapons and 4% from sneak attack. Again, it just highlights sneak attack is the thing. 1% from magic damage, and that was it. Level 18, again, sneak attack is the big contributor. Sharpshooter damage in there at 19%, thieves reflexes at 2, thieves reflexes sneak attack at 7, magic 5%, and weapon damage dropped to 14%. Level 19, sneak attack jump. A significant margin, now up to 68%. I love your laughter at that, Adrian. Sharpshooter, 4%, thieves reflexes 1%, thieves reflexes sneak attack 6%, magic damage 2%, and weapon damage now 19%. Finally, level 20. I don't think, sneak attack almost did not change. So yeah, to your point earlier, Thea, it's all about sharpshooter, sneak attack. It's all about sneak attack. If you lose advantage, you lose sneak attack. Ow, my ankle. If you don't have an ally in the right position. Sorry?
I can get it some from just target selection if one of my allies is close to an enemy, but that's...
Yep.
I mean, it basically is depending on A, my friends being in melee, and B, me being in a place to take advantage of that. And it's such a limited thing. So yeah, just anything you can do to work out advantage is huge.
Exactly. That is where things like sharpshooter or crossbow expert, to me, the fact that both remove disadvantage, that is to me more valuable than for the rogue than any of the other features for either feat. Excuse me.
Is it sharpshooter?
So that was the rogue. Crossbow expert.
Oh.
Because it removes the disadvantage from attacking things that are in melee.
Right. It would, yeah. I was confused for a second because Thea did not have that.
Right.
But it would
Adrian.
Be.
Yeah. Adrian, the fighter, was not built by the player. I built Adrian. And then, Adrian, you graciously agreed to play the character, and you did so phenomenally. Now, I built Adrian in order to have him be as close a baseline comparison to the Ranger as I could get a fighter to be. To that end, I maximized both dexterity and his intelligence scores. Because dexterity for archery, and armor class, and everything else, and intelligence because that's the Eldritch Knight's spellcasting ability. Now, while I did take the role of trying to advise you afterwards, I let you make your own choices, and I simply did my best to accommodate what you wanted, such as the switch to melee at level 4, and also an insanely high armor class, which, I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen anyone give anyone in Dungeons & Dragons. And I still managed to make it a challenge.
Oh yeah. It was still challenging.
Alright, so at the top, like as with Thea, this is your average per hit, per level, with nothing added in. This is purely weapon damage. And it's kind of interesting. Level 1, you're pretty high. And then you're right on the mark for level 2, and then level 4 and 3 below. Level 5, you come back up. And then most of the time, you're below, if you're relying on weapons only.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now, when you add in everything else, it paints a different picture if you scroll down to the bottom. And This is with all of your features, all of your abilities, and magic added in. This is per weapon hit. And I know it looks all wonky and all over the place. Excuse me. To me, what this communicates is that the fighter, as a base class, is right near the average of being okay with damage per hit. It's not great, it's not poor, it's just right on average.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad place to be.
No.
Honestly, to me, sorry?
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you.
To me, the fighter is probably hands down the easiest, best class to introduce anyone to the game of Dungeons and Dragons. You walk in, you hit stuff, you walk out.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
The blue baseline that is being compared to here, is that the same exact line as what the rogue was being compared to earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
Is the baseline I compared all three classes to.
So yeah, it didn't go up or down or change in any way.
Correct.
Cool.
Now, at the top, you'll see Adrian's damage rolled by level, no features, no abilities, no magic. This is pure weapon damage. Level 5, I'm sorry?
That's all I did.
So, gotcha. Level 4, you finally broke over 100 points. Level 5, you broke over 600. Nice. And then you did not do that again until level 9. Level 10, you got over 900. Excuse me, you got over 950. Your next highest was at 14th. You got over 770. Excuse me. You got over 900 again at level 16. And you didn't break 1,000 points up until level 19. 1,200 points based on weapon damage only. And then level 20, when you finally unlocked 4 attacks per attack action.
Yeah.
You almost hit 2,000 based on weapon damage only.
Wow. That's quite a jump.
Yeah.
Nope.
Now if you scroll down, you see everything else added in. This is everything, all spells, all weapons, everything. Including some happy incidents. I think, for example, when you used Gust of Wind to blow someone into a tar pit.
Yes.
A flaming tar pit at that.
That was fun.
I will say, there were a couple of points where the rogue broke, I believe, over 2,000 points of damage. That did not happen for the fighter until level 20.
Color me shocked. I thought I had.
If you zoom in a little bit.
I thought I had
Sorry?
backstage information, and Agent guessed better than I did. I think that the rogue was doing higher damage than the fighter.
So at level 19, the fighter almost hit 2,000, but it was level 20 when the fighter finally broke not 2,000, but 3,000. That was applying basically everything he had. Nicely done.
That's basically when I unleash the beast.
Yes. So now on screen is a chart showing, again, like with Thea, your total per level, now divided into components. You may note I did not divide this out per spell when it comes to your magic damage, your spell damage.
Yeah.
Which is shown there in the orange column, orange segment. That's because none of the spells that the fighter has access to were called into question. The only spells that are called into question are Hunter's Mark, which is a ranger spell. Excuse me. Now, as you can see, just based off of visual comparison, because again, no numbers, it's way too messy. The sole contributor, the biggest contributor to Adrian's damage total at any one level is weapons. Everything else is secondary.
Yeah. But then again, too, my character was often called as the human tank.
Exactly. I mean, that was your role. It was to stand in a spot, draw a bunch of aggro, and survive. And frankly, that is what. Well, I mean, to be frank, that is actually what the fighter is designed as a class to do. That's why you have access to the heavy armor. It's why you have access to Action Surge, and it's why you have access to something like Second Wind. It makes the fighter an extremely resilient class and very hard to take down. Excuse me. Excuse me. Goodness, my throat. Sorry. All right, so now we're going to go to your percentages. Level 1, everything's all weapons.
I was wondering if level 1, but it's just funny looking at it.
That's just a big blue pie, is what it is.
I get such a kick out of seeing this. Level 2! It's the exact same picture.
Hulk smash.
Level 3, and what's interesting to me is level 2 is when you gain access to Action Surge.
Yeah.
But you didn't actually start using it for damage until level 3. Which is shown there in the orange. Everything else is spell damage and weapon damage, which again, weapon is the predominant.
Pretty much. Ooh.
So here's level 4. Weapon damage still predominant, followed by magic item. I think
that's when I
could be wrong.
finally got access to a spell.
I think what happened, because that was shown as magic item damage. I could be wrong. I think what happened was you had, I think, the bone staff of paralysis.
Yeah.
Or something similar.
Paralysis.
And I think he used it. Well, I think he used it to paralyze something that was flying, and it fell.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And so, well, I attributed it to magic item. I could be wrong. I'm just guessing, because this was around 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't have perfect memory?
Surprisingly, no.
We can always look back in the records, but...
I mean, the videos are out there. I'm just not taking the time to watch them.
The videos are out there.
If you want to know what happened, go watch it yourself and tell me where I'm wrong in the comments, please.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did take a
get
winged flying creature down or something with that Staff of Paralysis, and I was very, very happy.
I'm pretty sure you did. It was pretty hilarious.
Made a
Level
large
5, you gained extra attack. And it's, again, reflected in the weapon damage being over 75% by 1%. Magic item still at 8%. Spell 13. Action Surge is it's in there.
It's in
3%. Level 6. Action Surge is still in there, about 7% now. Spell damage 30%. Fighter weapon damage 63. Pardon me. Level 7. Action Surge and magic item are still hanging in there, but it's basically between spell damage and weapon damage.
Shields up.
I think this is when you start. I think this is when you started getting not Eldritch Strike. Crud, I can't remember now. Help me out, spreadsheets. Give me records.
Oh?
Fighter 7th level. 7th level.
7th level, yes.
Let's see.
You were starting to use Expeditious Retreat a lot more.
That's true.
He just gained level to 2nd level spells.
Ah.
Gained access to 2nd level spells.
Ooh, Darkness. I use that one quite a bit.
Gotcha. I was wondering if that was when you got War Magic, but it doesn't look like it.
Let's see, down here in my... Let's see.
7th level War Magic. When you use your action to cast a fearing check, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. Yes, 7th level is War Magic.
Oh, okay.
6th level is Warcaster.
Gotcha. And then level 8. Again, this is when we had that massive chase down of the 3 enemy hobgoblin camps, and so all 3 of us got some. I think we took on 3 different camps, over 100 hobgoblins each camp in 3 days' time, and we beat them all. Yeah. Darkness is now in the chat, I think. Yes, there it is.
That was definitely one of the big ones that I enjoyed using so I can sneak in.
Yes, and again, weapon damage at 70%, action surge hanging in there by its fingernails, spell damage 24%. So now level 9. Weapon damage is still the king for the fighter. It's all about the weapons. Excuse me. In spell damage helps, and action surge is a handy tool when it comes to damage. Excuse me. I mean, that may have sounded like I was undermining action surge. I'm not.
No.
I'm talking, again, strictly numbers. Level 10. Weapon damage 71.
Still the big blue pie.
Weapon king fighter. What?
Still the big blue
Big
pie.
blue pie, exactly. Spell damage is 20 and action surge is 9%. And still the same at level 11. Bear in mind, this is when we were in the desert, so you were still using the sword. Excuse me, sanguine nonetheless. Which, as you may recall, at the time was costing you a spell slot every time to activate it.
That is true. I do remember that old way.
Level 12, weapon damage is still the king. Action surge, a little bit higher. Spell damage, a little bit less. And magic item coming back in. Just a little bit. I think you were starting to use Deeds of Force yourself. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Level 13, basically the same. Level 14, weapon damage goes right back up to 70%. Or 71, excuse me. Now, what I'm seeing from all this is that Action Surge, fantastic tool. And in a pinch, it can be really great for delivering just a sheer extra number of attacks and potential damage.
Definitely.
As a numerical measurement, so keep in mind, that was gameplay. Now I'm talking just straight numbers.
Just straight numbers.
Generally speaking, I would say that Action Surge is kind of wasted in terms of using it to make weapon attacks. Again, that is just based off the numbers. Obviously, that changes when you're actually in the game and you're dealing with foes face to face, because tactics flex as the situation needs. Weapon damage owns the fighter. Spell damage 18 and action surge 6%. Ooh, excuse me. Level 17. Do I even need to say it?
You work with what you got.
Well, yes. And this is kind of the same thing that we saw with the rogue. With the rogue, it's all about sneak attack. With the fighter, it's all about the weapons.
Yeah.
So, and the fighter as a class, I think hands down out of any other class in D&D, the fighter as a class is the most reliant on good weapons. If you don't have good weapons as a fighter, you're going to struggle. If you have really good weapons as a fighter, you're going to do fine.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. And now level 18, we see again, it's a little bit more magic item, some spell damage, some action surge, and weapon damage is still king.
I think that's also too when Fireball ended up coming into play more, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Lightning Bolt as well.
Oh, I know you did. I have the numbers that show me.
Well, all the action surge damage is higher.
I think this is when you started getting 2 uses of action surge per short rest. I could be wrong. But action surge did climb up a little bit.
Yeah, at level 9. No, I thought it was at level 17. I get 2 use.
Level 17, action surge, 2 uses.
There you go.
You're correct.
Level 17. But yeah, level 19, I definitely use them a lot. But then also too, that's when I had the marble pearls and then the juicy nectars.
I'll get to those. I'll get to those. Finally, level 20. Again, it's all the weapon.
All weapon.
Just like with the rogue, it's all about sneak attack. With the fighter, it's all weapons. So, who's ready for the ranger?
Wait a second, I gotta break out the popcorn here.
So as with the other two, I'm going to go up. The first graph is the line graph showing you the same average, so that's the blue baseline. The orange line is the average per hit, weapons only, which up until level 7 is either at or above the baseline. And then after that, it goes lower. Especially there at 14, I don't remember why. But then, nope, I do remember why. I think that's when I got volley. No, I got the volley earlier, so I don't remember what happened at 14. And now if you scroll down, all damage per hit with all features, all abilities, all magic. Do keep in mind, this is only based on weapon hits. Okay? This does not reflect things like spike growth. Okay?
Okay.
Above the baseline, right up until 9th. I'm sorry?
You're talking the top one, right? Not the bottom?
Both of them. This is all based on weapon hits. So things like spike growth don't count, because spike growth does not depend on the weapon hit.
It's magic hit. It's spike growth.
Well, no, it's just someone walking across the ground. Heat grinder. So there's a little bit of a dip at 9 and 10. And other than those two levels, the Ranger is not just above the baseline, but at level 18, rockets above the baseline. I think that's when I started getting feral senses. Yes.
When did you
level 18
become cursed with lycanthropin?
So that was level 10.
Okay.
But it didn't take full impact for several encounters. It wasn't until shortly before we got to the second Grusovian camp. So I think we were probably around 12th or 13th level at that time.
Gotcha.
So it took a couple of levels for it to finally show up and for me to start being, quasi-immune to damage. And by that I mean immune to non-magical, non-silver damage.
And I still have nightmares from when I was trapped in that bubble.
You're welcome for that one.
Oh gosh.
Alright. At the top, you'll now see Varen's damage per level based on weapon damage only. One thing you'll note, it took, I think, until level 19 for the fighter to finally break 1,000. Whereas Varen, weapon damage only, did it at level 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, you did.
And at level 20. If you scroll down, you'll now see Varen's total damage rolled by level with features, abilities, magic, and happy incidents.
Yikes.
I broke 4,460 points at level 8. That's mostly due to spike growth. To be fair, we were also up against 300 plus hobgoblins in 3 days, so I used every tool I could. And then, if you scroll on over to the right, level 19, at level 14, 16, and 18 broke 2,000, all of them. Level 19, I broke 5,000. Level 20, I almost hit 5,400. Now you see Varen's total per level.
Does that mean just
all
like
damage types? The green is spike growth.
we need a chart just for this one spell.
Well, since it's in the grass, we might as well give it the color green.
To be fair, I did not do that on purpose. Excel did that.
That's funny.
One thing I wanted, so a couple things I want to draw your attention to.
Oh,
One,
of course,
I already
it excels at that.
But I'm bummed. Level 8 is when spike growth is the main contributor to Varen's overall damage for that level.
Yeah, so
if you note, every other level, it's only a part. It's almost equal with things like, which one is yellow? It's almost equal with sharpshooter. It's almost equal with volley. Now, where is it? Light blue, right here, is Hunter's Mark. If you scroll in real tight, or sorry, zoom in, you'll see it popping up at level 3. So that's sliver right there. And there at level 4. It's right there at level 5. And then I traded it out for a different spell because it just wasn't helping enough. I took it back at level 11. 12, 13, 14 got a little bit more use. It's right there at level 20. I don't want to sound like I'm degrading Hunter's Mark. As from an action economy perspective, I like Hunter's Mark. I like the effects it does. My point I'm making here is that it is in no way a significant contributor to the Ranger's overall damage per level past, I think, level 5. After that, it's largely negligible.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Also, and by the way, Thea, I heard what you said earlier about spike growth, how much of the damage, Ranger's damage is contributed to just that spell. Again, note, it is not a significant contributor to Variant's overall damage until level 19 and shrinks again at level 20. Level 8 is an odd one because the encounters I was throwing at the party, I only threw at the party because the Ranger had spike growth. And I just wanted to test the spell. Other than that, it's just one more component. As opposed to, a mainline contributor. You can see that with the green. Yeah? Excuse me. So now we're going to go into the percentages. Like the fighter, level 1? It's all weapon.
All weapon.
That's all the Ranger had. The Ranger doesn't even have a fighting style at level 1.
And when do you actually get one? Level 2?
Level 2, which again is because I don't even have my subclass. Like the fighter, I don't get it until level 3.
Yeah.
So I don't get Colossus Slayer. I don't get anything. Here's level 3.
That's a big jump.
Yes, Colossus Slayer 20%. There it is. Hunter's Mark is 18%. Now, remember what I said before. The question is, one of the first questions is, does the Ranger absolutely rely upon Hunter's Mark in order to be comparable to the other martials? And what you see here is that Colossus Slayer does just barely more than Hunter's Mark at level 3. Now, again, this can vary a little bit because the margins are pretty close. There's a variance of dice rolls. So let's see what happens at level 4. Hunter's Mark is now 20. Colossus Slayer, 20. Something I'll point out about Colossus Slayer. No spell slot needed. No concentration. And it's holding its own in keeping with Hunter's Mark. Right up until level 5.
Where did it go?
Hunter's Mark drops. It's that green sliver right there. 1%. Colossus Slayer, 16. Weapon damage, 45. Spike growth, high. Remember the first time I used it?
Yeah.
I had lost a hand. And you were like, I'm going to have to babysit you. And our first encounter is an Etten and an elephant. And the first thing I do is I drop spike growth right in front of them.
Oh, takes me back.
Now, one thing I will note is at the start of level 5, Baron had only one hand.
Yeah.
He could not use ranged weapons with extra attack, and yet weapon damage is still 45% of his total. Spike growth is only 38.
Well, you were pretty deadly with that sword.
I was deadly with the sword, deadly with the sling. Here's level 6. Spike growth 23. Colossus Slayer 16. Spike growth has eclipsed Colossus Slayer. Weapon damage 61%. Hunter's Mark dropped off. It's not even there. Level 7. Colossus Slayer took back over. Spike growth, 13%. 10% less than the Colossus Slayer. Weapon damage, 64. Level 8. High spike growth.
Holy cow.
Colossus Slayer, 7%. Weapon damage, 29.
Well, I guess
Do
you
keep
like
in mind,
breaking sticks, don't you?
Well, when you handed me that broken up stick, yes.
That was still
Excuse me.
pretty epic.
I still can't believe you did that. Level 9. Weapon damage, 7. It's a literal flip. Look at that. Level 9.
Whoa.
So weapon damage back up to 70. Spike growth dropped to 11.
Well, there weren't
Colossus
that
Slayer,
many
19.
sticks around.
Weren't that many? Sorry? Thea, did you say something?
No, I just said there weren't that many sticks around.
Oh yeah, I heard you, Adrian.
No.
Level 10, which again, at the end of which we were sent to the desert. So this level 10 ended with that fight with Nanny Agatha.
Yeah.
In the forest and the werewolves. Colossus Slayer, 19%. Spike growth, where are you? It's 15%. Weapon damage, 66. Now, a level 11, I believe, is when the ranger gets to choose between either Whirlwind Strike or Volley. Obviously, I chose Volley.
Woof.
Volley, 30%. Spike growth, 22. Hunter's Mark, 3. Colossus Slayer, 14. Weapon damage, 31. Volley and weapons were almost neck and neck.
Mhm.
Now level 12. Remember, I did not take Sharpshooter until level 12. And here's level 12.
Oh gosh.
Weapon damage, 51%. Colossus Slayer, 17. Volley, 14. Sharpshooter, 2%. Hunter's Mark, 5. Spike growth, 11%. Oh, and also keep in mind, Varen was not using the bow predominantly. Occasionally, he would use it. Generally speaking, at this point in time, he was relying primarily on a magic dagger and a sling. A mundane sling.
Yeah, and still getting a couple of critical hits, as I recall.
Well, I was also using Volley, which here you see at level 13, 13%. Colossus Slayer, 12%.
Bam, bam.
Sharpshooter,
Bam.
17. Hunter's Mark, 4%. Spike growth, 19. Weapon damage, 35. Bear in mind, this is the tier where everyone says that the ranger has to rely on magic damage in order to keep up with the other martials.
Yeah, your weapon damage is bigger than everything else.
Now at level 14. This is when Varen gains Vanish. Weapon damage, 22. Sharpshooter, 24. Volley, 24. Colossus Slayer, 10. Hunter's Mark, 6. Spike growth, 14. They're not all equal, but they're fairly close.
Yeah.
With the fighter, it was all about weapons. With the rogue, it was all about sneak attack. With the ranger, it's kind of a mixture of everything. Now level 15. Weapon, 32. Colossus Slayer, 10. Volley, 26. Sharpshooter, 15. Hunter's Mark, still below 10%. Spike growth, 11%. The drop-off with spike growth keeps... I mean, yes, it's a great spell. As long as you maintain concentration and you put it in the right place. And as long as bad guys walk through it. Sorry? Yeah, crowds to use it on. But again, weapon damage is higher than spike growth. Excuse me. Level 16, and this is when I started increasing my wisdom score. I was getting ready for Foe Slayer. Weapon damage, 23%. Colossus Slayer, 10. Volley, 27. Just a little bit higher than weapon. Do keep in mind, there's kind of there's something to understand about Volley. One, it is based on weapon damage. You have to use weapons in order to use volley. And you're hitting different targets with each shot. So you're not dealing a whole lot of damage to one target. You're just spreading out a bunch of small amounts of damage to each target. Sharpshooter 19, Hunter's Mark 3, Spike Growth 18, decent but not huge. Level 17. Swift Quiver finally comes online and delivers all of 3%. So at this point, at level 17, Varen finally took his third and final actual damage-causing spell. And it's technically not even a damage-causing spell, it just gives him the ability to make 2 attacks with his bonus action. Weapon damage, 32. Colossus Slayer, 13. Volley, 12. Sharpshooter, 6. Hunter's Mark, 4. Spike Growth, 30. Level 18. Weapon damage, 21. Colossus Slayer, 7. Volley, 22. Sharpshooter, 27. Hunter's Mark, 2. Spike Growth, 17. Swift Quiver, 4%. I think this is around the time we were starting to deal with General Tsilgor.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Level 19, Varen maxed out his Wisdom score in preparation for level 20. And at the end fight of level 19, actually I'll come back to that. Weapon damage 14%, Colossus Slayer 6, Volley 27, Sharpshooter 27, Hunter's Mark 1, Spike Growth 22, Swift Quiver 3. Now to the point I was about to make. The end fight of level 19, when we went to the Nine Hells to fight General Tsilgor, that was when Varen took down 1, no, 2, draw, 3, yes.
That's my answers for the 3 questions.
Oh, I gotcha. At the end of level 19, just as we went to the fight with General Tsilgor, that was when I stopped using the sling as my primary weapon and finally got to go back to using the longbow. Watch what happens at level 20 with the weapon damage. It suddenly became a slightly bigger wedge, 22%. Colossus Slayer 8, Volley 18, Foe Slayer 5, Sharpshooter 28, Hunter's Mark 1, Spike Growth 12, Swift Quiver 5. And happenstance, that's when I shot someone out from the sky, basically. It got, I think, 62 total % damage, 1% of total. Foe Slayer, I think I said? Yeah, 5%. So, let's go now to the party totals, so we can actually see everything side by side. Last week, Thea, you said that you think Thea did the least overall. You said that Varen was surprisingly good at crowd control, Adrian was good at solo character lockdown and surviving those duels, and you like being able to drop huge damage on single heavy hitter targets. Adrian, you thought that the people who used bows had better accuracy than you did.
Yeah.
You think you did less than Thea and or Varen, but you were good at being a distraction. And you thought that Varen was the hunter strategist, especially at crowd control, especially with Spike Growth and Volley.
Yeah.
Which you saw bore out in the numbers. So here's our total class damage by category. The Rogue is entirely reliant on sneak attack.
Yeah.
Over the course of the campaign, 16,281 sneak attack alone. Nice. The Fighter, I think that is Action Surge, 1,966, and the Ranger, using things like Volley and Colossus Slayer, got around 9,415. Miscellaneous category is things like, the random items like cantrips. I'm sorry, not cantrips, caltrops. My bad. Beads of Force. Those types of just thrown in for fun. Let's see what they do kind of thing. The Rogue 106. The Ranger 62 because I knocked someone out of the air. Fighter 150. Feet damage This is sharpshooter damage for the rogue, right here. That's 1,850 from sharpshooter alone. The ranger, 4,870 from sharpshooter. The fighter, you didn't take sharpshooter, you didn't take any feats that actually dealt damage, so that's why you're at 0.
Womp womp womp.
Spell damage. Thanks for that. Spell damage. The rogue with the thieves subclass ability to steal magic, so to speak, got around 607. Fighter, 3,922. The ranger, 9,701.
Woo!
With spell damage only.
Yeah.
And remember, the ranger only took 3 combat spells.
Yep.
Weapon damage. This is only weapons. They're over 20 levels. The rogue got 6,344. The fighter, 12,557 from the weapon damage.
Yeah.
And the ranger, 11,921.
Taught you everything I knew.
I was neck and neck. I was neck and neck. I was neck and neck with the fighter. Now, let's have some fun with some charts, shall we? So here is all classes average per hit. No, it's just weapons compared to the baseline. And then average per hit with everything added in. Now all 3 of them compared together. Top right is weapon damage totals per level, all 3 characters. The orange is Adrian, the gray is Thea, and the blue is Varen. By the way, look what happens at a level 11, which I think is when Adrian started getting 3 attacks per attack action. Weapon damage only, up at level 11, down at 12, above at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Those sheer number of attacks that the fighter can make just really rocket you up there, but only in the second half of the game. Now look what happens at bottom right graph. This is everything added in. All features, all spells, everything. The ranger tops the charts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 times out of 20 levels.
Yeesh.
Hey, Adrian, I'm sorry, but with everything added in, the fighter didn't top a single 1 level.
That's okay.
So that's excuse me. Switch here, put you to the back, and send you back to this layer. All right. Now, this one.
Oh.
Sorry?
I was like halfway trying to puzzle out what was going on in those last 4 graphs.
Oh, sorry. So on screen right now is per level, all damage per character on the right. So down at the bottom is the fighter. And this is everything added in. All damage per level for the fighter. Right next to it is the fighter's total damage per level, broken down by category, in colored segments.
Wait,
No
sorry,
numbers.
where are we at right now?
I'm sorry, let me do a focus paint.
Yes, please.
And focus paint, there we go.
Oh,
Okay,
down there.
bottom graph, yes, bottom graph, right hand side, is Adrian's damage per level, everything added in.
Whoa.
Okay, all spells, all action surge, everything. This is every single total for Adrian per level.
Why isn't there that crazy spike at level 8?
This is Adrian's, not Varen's.
Oh, because I'm not listening to the correct thing.
No comment. If you move over to the left, which I'll do a focus paint,
Ping.
this is, yes, this is Adrian's total per level, broken down by category.
Mm.
This is everything added in. Okay?
Cool.
Which again you can see finally at level 20, finally broke 3,000. For the first time in all campaign, broke 3,000 at level 20. Good job.
But still, melee
Now we-
weapon was the main thing.
Yes. Middle row on the right. I will send a focus ping. Focus ping. There we go. This is the road. Everything added in. So this is everything. So like I said, everything added in broke 3,000 at level 19, and finally broke 4,000 at level 20. On the left is the rogue total damage by level, by category. And again, like with the ranger, weapon damage is king. Well, with the rogue, sneak attack is king. Or queen, I guess. I will send a focus ping. Top right chart. This is the ranger. Broke 4,000 at level 8, 5,000 level 19, and 5,000 at level 20. This is everything added in across every level. And on the left is by category. Now, again, we need my little measuring tool here. Level 10 to level 19, the ranger was using a mundane sling as primary weapon, and a magic dagger as his backup. Occasionally got to use magic longbow with magic arrows, but he only had 20 shots per day. At the end of level 19, he finally gets the longbow back, and his damage jumps. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Note as well, in this same range of levels, these are the tiers that the ranger is supposed to fall off at. And let's see, at level 13 got 820 compared to the rogues 434, compared to the ranger to the fighters 642. I think the primary reason that dipped is because it just didn't take that many fights to get from level 13 to 14. Excuse me. So now I'm going to switch. That was the wrong option. Put you back where you belong. Now do this. There we go. Now send you back where you went.
Kaping.
Indeed. Now, go here. Okay. On screen is Adrian's percentages broken down by category across all 20 levels.
Oh gosh.
This is everything. For all 20 levels, weapon damage comprised 68% of your total damage. Action Surge, 11. Firebolt alone, 10%. You were almost as effective with Firebolt alone as you were with Action Surge.
Wow. Told you I
Chill
favored
Touch
that one a lot.
Yes, you liked Firebolt a lot. Magic Missile, 2%. Velvet Arrow, 1%. Scorching Ray, 1%. Lightning Bolt, 3. Fireball, 2. Thunderwave, 0. Burning Hand, 0. Keep in mind, there's some decimal points involved here, so it's 0 point something or other. I just didn't want to go through the process of adding in all the decimal points.
No.
Giant Slayer, 1%.
No decimal point needed.
So yeah,
60.
so that is the
weapon damage. Wow.
Yeah. So now I'm going to send you to the back. This is the rogue, cumulative. Sneak attack comprised 61.58% of the rogue's total overall damage.
Jeez. Wow.
Weapon damage 25.19. Item 0.07. Magic 2.41. Magic items 0.35. Thieves reflexes sneak attack 2.18. Thieves reflexes weapons 0.54. Stroke of luck sneak attack 0.29. Stroke of luck weapons 0.05%. Sharpshooter 7.34%. This is across all 20 levels. Now for the Ranger. I want to zoom out to about 30%. Across all 20 levels, weapons contributed 33.13%. Fall damage from dropping someone, 0.17%. Hail of Thorns, I got that through a charm. It was not a spell that I chose, it was a charm. Temporary use, 0.04%. Swift Quiver, 1.53. Spike Growth, 23.3. Hunter's Mark, 2.13. Bowslayer, 0.67. Volley, 14.60. Colossus Slayer, 10.89. And Sharpshooter, 13.53. So I'm going to pull up my calculator real quick. Adrian, you commented in regards to the questions. Thank you for explaining, by the way.
Yeah.
Does a ranger need Hunter's Mark in order to be comparable to other marshals? You said no.
No.
As evidenced, across all 20 levels, Hunter's Mark contributed a total of 2.13%. That's it.
Yeah.
It did very little. During the periods it was most useful in lower levels, quite useful, just not very big. 2, you said a draw. You said the fighter as a class better than rangers as a class. I would say it's context dependent. Excuse me. I will say, you know what? I'll come back to that.
Basically, my whole understanding on it, based on our performance, we were almost kind of neck and neck a little bit.
I'll come back to that in just a moment.
Okay.
In regards to 3, you said yes, that rangers need spellcasting just in order to keep up. Well, remember I said I only took 3 spells that actually caused damage. Spike Growth contributed 23.3% of my total. Hunter's Mark contributed 2.13%. And Swift Quiver, 1.53. And because it's in there, Hail of Thorns, 0.04. That was it for my magic damage. So all of my magic damage combined equals 27% of my total output of damage.
Yeah, and I was kind of going in it basically 40-60. Thinking like, I'm just going to throw that in there. Because I kind of felt like your melee attack and your bow and basically non-magical attacks, I think you exceeded more over than magic. But then it really depends on the one who's actually using the character. I would probably have said, based on just average, yeah, I think you would probably need more spellcasting than actual physical. You, though, you're probably one of the exceptions. So.
I think it's largely dependent on the campaign, but there's a caveat to this question, and I'll bring it up in a little bit. For now, let's get these charts out of the way.
Caveat. That's making me hungry.
Wrong button. I said caveat, not caviar.
Yeah, I know. It's still making me hungry.
Fair enough. Alright, top left pie chart. This is tier 1, levels 1 through 4. Total damage per character. The fighter, 522. Ranger, 730. Rogue beat the Ranger at 741. Tier 2, levels 5 through 10. Fighter, 5,573. Rogue, 5,679. Ranger, 11,903. Now, to be fair, this does include Spike Growth at level 8. top right chart, total damage over tier 3. This is levels 11 through 16, and this is supposed to be where the ranger falls off. Fighter 5,404, rogue 7,188, ranger 9,434. Tier 4, levels 16 through 20. Fighter 7,096, rogue 11,580, ranger 13,915. To back, send to light, switch. Token. Go. Alright, so over the first 10 levels, if you go to the top left chart, I'll set a focus ping. Here we go. First half of the game. The first 10 levels. Fighter 6,095, rogue 6,420, ranger 12,633. Scroll down, and then you'll see total damage over levels 11 through 20. Second half of the game. Fighter 12,500, rogue 18,768, ranger 23,349. The right chart shows each character's total damage over all 20 levels. Fighter 18,595, rogue 25,188, ranger 35,982.
Basically
Of
what I
which
said.
only 27% was due to his spells. Now, you remember I said I was going to come back to a caveat to question 3.
Yeah.
Levels 10 through 19, or sorry, right at the end of level 10, right at the end of level 19. The fighter and the rogue were both using. The fighter was using a rapier. That's 1d8 plus dex or strength mod.
Mhm.
The rogue was using a short sword, later replaced with a rapier. Both magic weapons. Both a d8 plus dex or strength. The ranger was using a sling as his primary weapon. A d4, half the base damage dice of the rapier, and of the rapier. Go back over to levels 11 through 20. Also remember, so I handicapped the ranger, right? With the whole taking away the longbow and making him rely on a mundane sling and a magic dagger. Those were his primary weapons for this portion of the campaign, right?
Yep.
How much will it surprise both of you to learn that I cheated
What do you mean good cheating?
for both of you?
For what now?
Dungeons and Dragons is based around the idea of trying to give everyone as base floor as possible. To my knowledge, no one has ever put into the game an item that lets you have a short rest mid-combat. Think about what that does for the fighter. Instant recharge of all action surges and all second winds. Mid-fight. You get a complete refresh of all of your baseline superpowers, so to speak,
Yeah.
in an instant. I also included an item that the rogue got to eat quite a bit of, which was, I forget what the name of it now is, the twig that gives advantage on all dexterity-based attacks for 10 rounds. For the rogue, that's basically auto sneak attack for 10 rounds. The ranger almost never ate any of those. Either one, because it just didn't give him as much as it gave the fighter. It didn't give him as much as it gave the rogue. So in other words, I handicapped the ranger, and I boosted both the fighter and the rogue. And the ranger still came out ahead. Without over-relying on magic.
This is usually when the audience goes and gasps really loud.
Thea, you were going to say something?
Oh, I just say nice.
This was an unfair stress test. I put the Ranger class through a pressure cooker, where I handicapped him, took him away from his best possible weapon, the longbow. Excuse me. Excuse me. I beg your pardon. I did that just as he's going into the tiers, the 2 tiers where he's supposed to fall off, tiers 3 and 4. Remember the questions. Scroll back up. Supposedly, the Ranger needs spellcasting just in order to keep up with damage output from the other marshals. This Ranger had only 3 offensive spells, one of which is entirely dependent on people walking into it, and he had a mundane sling. And he outpaced the other 2 classes who had, in the fighter's case, 25 armor class. In the rogue's case, auto advantage for 10 rounds on demand. The fighter could reset action surge and second winds on demand. Granted, it also gave you levels of exhaustion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I just gave it to you hands-free.
Oh, no.
I handicapped the Ranger, I boosted the other 2, and the Ranger was neck and neck. If you scroll back up to the top, looking at weapon damage, the Ranger got almost 12,000, was almost neck and neck with weapon damage with the fighter, using a sling for almost 10 levels.
That's crazy.
I think I can fairly say that the Ranger does not need spellcasting per se to keep up with the other marshals.
Yeah.
Because I handicapped the Ranger, and he was still almost neck and neck with the fighter, who was using a rapier almost the entire campaign. And then I threw him into the 9 Hells to go up against General de Solgor, and a very unfair fight. And so I'm not going to. This is not about anyone's tactics. Okay, this is strictly about the setup and the execution. From a mechanical point of view, the fighter, the rogue, the cleric, they had a battle map where they had blind corners, they had shadows, places to hide, perfect for the rogue, great places to hole up and control how many people came at you from any one direction, perfect for the fighter. They had an angel on their side, they had Hero's Feast, I almost said Hero's Rest.
I wish I had Hero's Rest.
And the Ranger had a short sword that temporarily absorbed poison only to release it into him at the end of the fight. So it wasn't even a cancellation of poison damage, it was a delay. And he had nowhere to hide, no terrain bonus, nothing. Up against a Pit Fiend, which I believe is a CR 19 or 20 monster. And he won. With Fog Cloud. So think about that for a moment. I set both of you guys up with as many advantages as you could ask for. I handicapped the Ranger for about 10 levels, and the Ranger almost tied with the fighter for weapon damage.
Yeah.
It is a daunting creation.
I'm sorry?
It is a daunting creation.
Right? I did that specifically, deliberately. I knew that throwing in those items would be an unbalance to the game. I knew that that putting the Ranger through that test, through those levels, would basically be a make or break. Either he's going to need spellcasting to survive, or he's just not going to survive. And he barely used spellcasting, and he survived. I think I can safely say at this point, having artificially boosted the fighter and the rogue and handicapped the ranger, and the ranger still came out ahead, I think I can safely say the ranger is a better damage-dealing martial class, damage-dealing, than either the fighter or the rogue. Your thoughts?
Well, based on the stats and everything, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it does seem like there's definitely aspects where you still come out and lead. I get a little skeptical as to what was going on around like level 8 with the spike growth and whatnot. It does seem like there's fluke's not the right word, but like a campaign element there that gives an uncommon boost. In part because of the way it stands out compared to basically everything else the ranger is doing around those levels.
Fair. Excuse me.
But yeah, like you still come out, you know, the total cumulative effect of things like your feature damage and your weapon damage, I'm pretty sure still puts the ranger in the lead, I think. Well, at least
So
with,
as
like,
to the questions,
more average.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At least with like more average magic damage. Because the spell damage still is like a huge thing. Even like if you can more balance out things like where Spike Growth took on an extraordinary lead, like your magic damage still adds a lot for you.
Yeah.
It still does add a lot. I'm not gonna lie. But my point though is, does the ranger need spellcasting in tiers 3 and 4, which does not include level 8?
It really depends on the person playing the rogue. Or, I'm sorry, the ranger.
It depends on the person playing the ranger. It depends on the campaign. I grant you, there's a lot of caveats and a lot of different potentials and a lot of different chances that this can all go down. Excuse me. Being able to maintain distance from the enemy so that you don't risk losing concentration, for example. That's going to change almost map to map.
Yeah.
So I agree with you in principle. It depends. Okay, this is a singular test in as open world environment as I can, using as many different variables and stress factors as I can. I tried as much as I could think of and use in DMG, including some things that most people don't even realize are in the DMG, the Dungeon Master's Guide. And I cannot speak to every single dice roll. I cannot speak to every single tactic or map or strategy or campaign.
Yeah, there's always even variables.
Yes, there's always variables, and I can't control all outcomes. Excuse me. But in terms of these questions, does a ranger need spellcasting in order to keep up? Well, we saw the graphs. The ranger barely used his hostile spells. His most powerful hostile spell, Spike Growth, in any of the levels of Tier 3 or 4. Except I think at level 19 and 20. And 19 was the single biggest moment of using Spike Growth. He just didn't need to use it that much, comparatively. I think at most you could say that it was comparable to his weapon damage, but honestly he was using his features like Volley, Colossus Slayer, weapon damage, and Spike Growth. When you take it all like that into comparison, the way I think I've put it to myself is that for the ranger, magic damage is icing on the cake. It's nice, it's great to have it, and without it you don't have a cake. But ultimately the actual cake is the features. Volley, Colossus Slayer, weapons, excuse me. As far as the fighter being a better class than the ranger, Adrian, you said a draw. I will point out, as written, the fighter has nothing that actually rides damage. And what I mean by that, they don't have anything, well, like Colossus Slayer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's not until they get their third attack per attack action, Agent, help me out. That's at level 11, I think.
A level 11, yes.
Thank you. Not until level 11 does he start to edge out the ranger in terms of just weapon damage. And then, of course, at level 20, it's no contest. It's hard to beat 4 attacks per turn, resource free. But that's their capstone.
Yeah.
They have to go an entire half of a campaign, or sorry, a career, levels 1 through 10, before they finally start getting better than the ranger at weapon damage only. So I'm not entirely... I don't know that I'm quite in agreement with you, Adrian, about it being a draw. Because so many of the rangers... so many of the fighters' features are one use and then short rest recharge. Right?
Right.
Whereas Colossus Slayer is every single round. Like a miniature bomb, if you will. As to the first question, does the Ranger need Hunter's Mark? I mean, it was nice in Tier 1, and after that, it was... Why did he even spin the spell slot, frankly? It was kind of like... don't get me wrong, I like Hunter's Mark. But frankly, it contributed so little, it's like, why don't I just use something else? That's my take on the questions. Adrian, do you want to amend what you said for your answers, or are you comfortable with where you sit?
I'm actually pretty comfortable with my first two. I'll withdraw the third one and say no on it.
That's fair. Thea, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it kind of speaks for itself.
Right.
I'm not sure what I would do.
It was... Okay. Well, I'm asking just in regard to the questions. Do you have anything to add or disagree with about the questions, the answers to the questions, whatever?
No, I think I might have time to allude to this earlier. Like, I think there's some stuff that's just truly abnormal about how much impact spike growth had. But either way, you still come out with a cumulative lead even on like the non-magic elements, and spike growth doesn't account for all of this magic anyways. Like, it might take a few thousand off, but spike growth is only a portion of your magic. So yeah, like, you're still the range is still accumulating more damage overall than the other two.
To be honest, I was kind of not sure that would be the case with Sneak Attack, especially when it got to level 19 or 20.
Yeah, I mean, it gets competitive.
The sheer
in some ways, but
it got pretty close, yeah. So, just so I understand your stance there, Thea. Question 1: does the Ranger need Hunter's Mark in order to be comparable? You would say no.
I mean, on this data, is that even a question?
Fair. What about the second one? Because there's some debate. There's some not necessarily. I would say not quite agreement, or maybe it's just too nuanced a question.
Pull my questions back up. Hold on. I did write it down, but I'm not as solid in mind.
Sure. Is the fighter as a class better than rangers as a class at archery?
I mean, in terms of just damage output, yeah, it seems the rangers there. A little hard because I don't think the fighter in this game was really played very much as an archer. At least to my knowledge, in what I saw, I think it was played much more as a melee character to begin with.
See, I would agree with you. I will point out from a mathematical, numerical point of view, the rapier and the longbow are effectively the same. They're both a D8 plus dexterity mod.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Where it's like it's still gonna be pretty competitive. At least for the fighter being melee or archer, still doing a lot of the same damage.
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
And finally, third question, especially in tiers 3 and 4, does the ranger as a class need like actually need spellcasting just in order to keep up with damage output from the other marshals?
No, that's what I was kind of answering earlier, where it's just, it's helping, it's doing a lot, but no, I don't need it.
So I think we can safely say question 1 is a solid no. Question 2 is debatable-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And question 3, I'm sorry?
as far as just the damage output, no, the range is still dominating on that one. There's other questions as far as what's making truly a better archer or not, and also whether or not the fighters necessarily trying to be the same archer as the ranger. Like, there's some debate there, but as far as just damage output, no, the range is still dominating there on question 2.
Okay, so as I tally it, that means 3 of us say no to question 1, 2 of us say no to question 2. Adrian, you still say it's a draw.
Yeah.
And all 3 of us are concurring on question 3 that it's a no.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. Well, and to be fair, it's really hard to conclusively say, because to your point, Thea, Adrian was primarily melee after level 4. But to Adrian's defense, there were a lot of times he missed. A lot of times he missed. And he still got he almost got 13,000 points of damage over all 20 levels with weapons alone. That's a really hard number to beat. Imagine if he'd hit more often. The only thing I'll add to that is, what if Varen had not been handicapped to a sling for half the game?
Yeah.
Adrian, what do you say to that? What if Varen had been using a longbow all 20 levels?
You probably would have gotten a higher hit count.
Or, well, not hit count, damage count. Damage roll. Because with the sling, you can only ever get a 4 plus dexterity mod.
Yeah.
With a longbow, it's 4 plus dexterity. 8 with dexterity mod maximum.
But what I'm basically
Same with
trying
the
to say is you would have done more damage if you had not been handicapped.
Gotcha. Goodness, just think about that. That's with me. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong column. Feature. So, keeping in mind that sneak attack column, that feature column for the rogue, that's 16,000. That is an inflated column. Those numbers are not accurate because I provided for the rogue to be able to have those 10 rounds of advantage guaranteed, right?
Right.
Same with the fighter, with the pearl granting the immediate short rest. The ranger did not benefit from those things the same way that the other 2 of you did. Excuse me. And yet, still, just good grief. Not bad. And I mean that sincerely. Not bad for all 3 classes.
Yeah.
All right, so the floor is open. What do you guys think of the campaign overall? The way I boosted you 2 and handicapped myself. What do you guys have to say? Criticisms? What there? Criticisms? Questions? Anything?
Well, overall, the game was fun. It was an experience.
That's ultimately the point.
Yeah, it was fun. It was an experience. Finally got to get through a single campaign all the way through.
I'm so glad you did.
I mean, yeah, gosh, what was it? I think the first one that I ever participated in, a character was just like built for me. I jumped in and tried to understand and learn the lingo and the way it, the structure and everything else with it, but it just seemed like such a blur because I was only there for 2 sessions. And then I didn't mention this earlier, but I kind of wish I had. I tried to get back into it with a couple other guys from work and stuff, and they had taken, and I'm not kidding, 3.5 hours to complete a single character. And until I ended up finally telling them this is what I did the previous day. So I already had my character set aside and, ready to get going on this campaign of ours. But as soon as they found out that I was, oh gosh, what was the class that I was? Oh, I was a monk. And I was, setting down my stats and everything else. They then took the rest of the 3.5 to 4 hours of the rest of that day, completing their new characters, which were monks based or monk class based. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me, guys. This is ridiculous. We never got around to actually playing the game because they spent so much time working on their characters. So.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, then I hope... you already said the campaign was fun, which to me is not only a high compliment, but a hallmark, because this was a 20-level game, almost going 4 years, and it was fun. I'm over here just going nuts. Like, yes, it was fun!
It was fun because, one, it was an experience, and yeah, never played it before, but I feel like I've learned a lot since I started playing this game. Because you gotta admit, when I'm sitting here trying to figure out what a cantrip is, I'm like, no, you gotta explain this to me again, because I'm not getting it. So... And now I'm sitting here going, well, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it like this, and I'm going to do that. But at first, I got to use my interaction to do that, and blah, 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 and this and that. And yeah, I'm now going to do this all without a bonus action. Okay, yes, no, I got this. I'm good. And just making the decision
by the way,
go and all that.
Thea, hold your question for just 1 second. Adrian, by the way, I said I have the numbers to back up how much you like Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
Just for perspective, over the course of the campaign, you dealt 371 points of damage with Fireball. Over the course of the campaign, you dealt 601 points of damage with Lightning Bolt. Over the course of the campaign, you dealt 1,874 points of damage with Fireball.
Firebolt is a first level spell, right?
It's a cantrip.
It was my favorite.
I was kind of curious, like seeing any of the numbers and the graphs and whatnot. Would you do anything different with Agent as far as like how much you use magic versus weapons, or what?
Probably not.
Okay.
I actually have a follow-up to that. I'd like to know if, having seen the difference between melee and ranged, do you think you still would have gone melee? Especially since you had the fighting style archery? Because I do think that handicapped you a little bit.
The fighting style archery did a +2 to attack, was it? Or what? I forget.
Archery gives you a +2 to your attack roll with ranged weapons, which that does increase your accuracy, and therefore it increases your damage potential. Adrian, go ahead.
I probably would have stuck with melee, mostly because just in my persona and my personal preferences, if I were to join like a LARP group, I would probably be a melee fighter.
This makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting thought, because there's, gosh, probably hundreds of attacks that could have gained a +2 to damage.
Over the course of the campaign, he made... Wait, oh, sorry, I'm looking at the rogue. 1 second. Over the course of the campaign, Adrian made 1,621 total attacks.
Yeah, I can imagine roughly, just on a rough number, 1,000 different attacks that you might have been able to convert to archery and gain a +2 on damage.
Attack.
Archery
is a +2 on damage. On attack, sorry, not damage.
on attack rolls. I'm crazy. Okay.
So, and of those, he made 1,363 hits total.
So what? 1,600 round number attacks and 1,300 hits.
Roughly. So he had a hit ratio overall of 84.08%.
Okay, that's way off. Yeah, because the +2 to attack might have made some difference, but probably not a huge difference.
It would have made more of a difference at low levels. Once you start increasing your dexterity and your proficiency, the archery fighting style starts to fall off. Not hugely, but just slightly. Whereas weapons only, this is not including volley. Okay? Not including volley. Varen made 1,709 attacks, of which 1,463 were hits.
Yeah.
So that means weapons only. Remember, Adrian had an 80%, I think I said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Adrian had. Let me check. Adrian had an 84% hit ratio. Varen, who relied primarily on ranged combat and therefore benefited the most from archery, had a hit rate of 85.6%.
It does.
6 minus.
So this is where I'm gonna kind of jump into just some hypotheticals here. But like, I can kind of imagine for Adrian as a fighter, if he, I mean, this wouldn't have worked for the questions you're trying to answer. But if he didn't have the arching fighting style and instead had, say, dueling with a +2 to damage, that's where I could. I don't know if it wouldn't completely change things. I don't think, but he, on roughly 1,000 hits, let's imagine, if he gained a +2 to damage, that could be a 2,000 extra points of damage that could have come out of
Potential
the build more geared towards the way he was playing.
Also, so looking at the difference between his hit ratio and my hit ratio, remembering that I relied primarily, not solely, primarily on range. We had a hit ratio difference of 1.6%.
Hold on, lay that out.
But that's only weapon.
So because Varen had an archer build.
Hold on. I'm typing it in chat. Okay. Varen, 85.6%. Adrian, 4%. Difference. But remember, this is not including volley.
Yeah. But I do want.
Varen used. Sorry, go ahead.
So I mean, I don't know if that'd be even a way to calculate that. I doubt we have the data. But I wonder how much, like, basically Varen applying something like his archery fighting style much more frequently than Adrian is, how much that creates that kind of a difference.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Just based on the cumulative, 1.6% difference.
It's not bad.
Honestly, no. But because volley is something that the ranger gets access to, how many times did I use volley? I can't remember. That's only going to. Oh wait, hold on. I remember. I can go over here. So Varen. This damage. Dang it.
I also can wonder.
Oh, hang on. Hold on. I know you have a question. Just hold on. Varen damage. And this should include volley. Yes, it does. Okay. So, including volley. Oh, crap. That was since level 11. Oops. Hang on. I'm doing some formula math, basically. Since 11. There. So with volley included, Baron made.
Sorry.
Let me make sure of this. Ah. Okay, that's more like it. With volley included, Baron made 2,230 attacks, of which 1,907 were hits. Which means his attack ratio was 85.51%. So you actually decreased a little bit when you include volley. More chances to hit mean more chances to miss.
And this is something, and this is less a question, but I kind of, and there's no info on this, but I kind of wonder how much something like the rogue taking a 1 level dip in fighter to gain something like archery fighting style would make an improvement, especially with sharpshooter, to keep those hits going or something.
I mean, it would make you more likely to hit, but remember you only get 1 attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a key importance for the rogue. So it wouldn't make a difference. On
So I mean, again,
like the what was it, the damage per hit type thing? It wouldn't make any difference on those, but just the total cumulative damage over gameplay. I wonder.
I mean, to be fair, Adrian, to be fair to you,
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was a foolish choice for you to go melee. Looking at the numbers now, even though you were playing, let's say, against your strengths, because you had the archery fighting style, not dueling, you had archery, and yet your hit ratio is 1.6 or 1.5% lower than mine.
Mm-hmm.
Which means the archery fighting style is largely unimportant.
Yeah.
It
makes a difference. Sorry?
I was going to say, you arguably didn't lose much off of it.
That's my point.
But I wonder how much he gained.
Oh,
sorry. I was just going to say, I wonder how much he gained for us, for like the Ranger and the Rogue, by being the one kind of going up toe-to-toe with people and like creating that distraction, that safety barrier, basically, for us to operate more freely.
I would say pivotal. It changed the entire group dynamic. Because before it was a bunch of running around helter-skelter shooting, but as soon as Adrian, and again, remember, I've pointed this out earlier in the discussion, the fighter as a class is designed to be the one to stand in the middle of the fray and come out alive.
Yeah.
That's why it has access to heavy armor. That's why it has access to action surge and second wind.
Yeah.
The fighter actually plays against. Sorry?
I was just going to kind of iterate. I was saying the same thing, but like it makes me wonder, like, because there's no data to quantify it. But yeah, it's kind of a curious thought, like how much of a difference that makes. You can't see numbers showing what the fighter's doing, but I wonder how much it creates for the Ranger and the Rogue, like just how much opportunity it creates for them to get those range shots in. When he's just going.
I would say it creates more opportunity for the Rogue. I'm sorry, Adrian, you were saying something.
No, what?
Oh, I thought you said something. My bad.
No.
Thea, Nancy?
I was probably my chair creaking.
Oh, I get you. In answer to your question, Thea, I think it would largely create more opportunity for the Rogue because it gives the Rogue more chances to get sneak attack. Because you have an enemy of your target within 5 feet. I mean, I'm still stuck on wondering what would the difference in numbers be if the ranger hadn't been handicapped.
Yeah. That is an interesting question. What would the world be like without Captain Hook?
Okay. If you darn it, I can't give you advantage. Why do you always come out with great lines when I can't give you advantage?
An inspiration
Or
point?
inspiration, whatever. I give you an inspiration point for life. There you go. Well, I disagree on principle with Adrian's answer on question 2, that it's more of a draw. Looking at the numbers, I'm not entirely certain. I do think the ranger has more going in terms of what they can do with archery. Things like Colossus Slayer, volley, and spike growth. If enemies are coming at me, they walk into spike growth, they're taking damage. I volley them, I get Colossus Slayer and spike growth. I'm just layering and layering and layering and layering. To me, mechanically, that makes the ranger a better overall archer than the fighter, because the fighter's features aren't layered like that. The fighter's features are layered so that the fighter survives rather than dealing damage.
But then what do you do when you're an archer?
As a fighter or a ranger?
Oh, in either. You still draw a string back for the arrow.
I thought you were asking a serious question.
Oh, I'm running on fumes right now, guys. I'm getting tired.
I know it's late.
Alright.
I know it's late.
Do we want to call it?
Let me check something real quick. Yeah, we're about there. So overall, I still fundamentally disagree with the idea that it's a draw between the fighter and the ranger.
Okay.
I think the numbers do speak for themselves, especially the fact that the ranger was handicapped for half the campaign and still was almost tied with the fighter.
Yeah.
While the fighter had multiple advantages. Having said that, I don't know. A lot of it does depend on the campaign and the environment, and what spells and feature choices you make as a ranger. There's a lot of different things that go into it. So there you go. I was gonna ask you guys a question. I meant to write it down and I didn't. That's my fault. Real quick, what did you guys think of the magic items? The magic armors, the weapons. What did you guys think?
Oh, Bob, I knew him well.
No more sanguine nonetheless for you. Sorry.
Sanguine nonetheless was a beautiful birthday present, and I took very, very care of him.
What was that, Thea?
I didn't utilize it as much as I would have liked, but I did really like the design of something like Augmentor, like its ability to kind of cast spells here and there at will.
Sure.
I struggled to utilize things I consider limited resources, but I really like the design of it.
I will say, going forward, probably do not expect to see an armor class of 25 for anyone.
Yeah.
I will also say, and by design, I played my ranger this campaign deliberately handicapped in the tiers that he was supposed to be weakest at. So going forward, I'm not going to handicap the ranger anymore.
Oh.
No more lowest tiered weapons. No, unless that's what's necessary in the narrative. So he might see magic longsword. He might see a magic rapier. He might see a magic, glaive or something. The point is, this campaign I held back and he dominated. So now let's see what happens when the ranger is unchained.
Honestly, though, with my character being the fighter, I mean, I really do like the whole melee. I really did like the spell casting. I really liked everything.
Well, it's a good thing that you're going to be doing a lot of melee and spellcasting in the next campaign.
Oh, the next campaign. I almost feel like I'm splitting my two characters individual. One of them is going to be mainly focused on spellcasting, and the other one is going to mainly focus on melee weapon. So it's going to be a real challenge for me working with those two individual characters, and I do have to say I'm highly looking forward to it.
I'm looking to see what
On the
one-liners
plus-
you come up with for a barbarian.
Valid.
I'm expecting some good one-liners out of you on that.
Well, trust me. Most of it is going to be
They're
just
better.
right there on the spot.
I believe you, and I'm slightly terrified. Yes. Would you guys like to know what the name of next campaign is going to be?
Ooh, I really want to hear it.
Land of the Predators.
Dun.
And I've already made the combat map for level 1. Which, by the way, yes, we are all the way back to level 1.
So it begins.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of dreading like the levels 1 through 3 or 4.
This is what you got for me. This is what you can give me, Saruman.
He's already getting into practice for when he's a barbarian. Oh boy, this is gonna be a mess. Well, again, I want to thank you both so much for playing in this campaign. For you, Thea/Del, I really do appreciate that you were willing to just jump in and go despite having so little experience.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you had fun with it. Adrian, for the numerous one-liners, the multiple times you've almost made me choke on my tongue with laughter. I hate you, and I'm so looking forward to playing more with you.
Nice. Yes, I will be
Also-
using more of those inspiration points more often.
You better. I try to give them out as often as possible, and you guys never use them. Come on. Also, there in next campaign, there will be no watch your step because I'm not taking spike growth.
I'm a little curious to
I'm
see what
taking
difference
other
that makes.
spells. Well, it is part of the reason why I'm doing this. I'm stress testing the ranger as many facets as I can. I'm seeing if it lives up to the low estimation that so many people have given it, or if it exceeds beyond what anyone thinks. And thus far in this one campaign, I would have to say that the ranger didn't exceed so much as exceeded the exceeded expectations. I think that's fair. All right. Well, thank you both so much for an entertaining and interesting discussion. And for those of you listening at home, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes. Alright.
And I hope I didn't, render anyone completely dizzy with all the different charts and whatnot. I did my best.
A little, but it's all good.
I'm still hungry after looking at all those pie charts.
Well, I am gonna make an apple pie, but you can't have any.
No, I want a blue pie. To reflect all of my
Well, with
percentages.
with the
on-
fighter, that's definitely what you got. Oh, jeez.
Actually,
Oh,
no, I am in the mood for some mashed potatoes. That's what I want right now.
Potatoes? Potatoes?
Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Taters? What's taters? Precious. Alright. I think we're going to call it there for the night. Thank you so much for the discussion, and to everyone else, we hope that you join us with our new characters in a new part of the world, in a new campaign, the Land of the Predator. I said predators earlier, I meant predator. Hopefully I don't get sued. Anyways, have a good night, everyone.
All right, good night.